And I think the number one reason why violence will forever be embedded in the Jamaican culture is because violence is a distraction. Violence is a distraction from major crimes. Think about this. This dog paw situation. Dog paw got taken out conveniently around the time when the government lost $124 million. It went missing. Where did that money go? Why is it not the biggest story in the country? A story of corruption, a crime of theft, a crime of fraud. Why is it not the story that is being shouted from the rooftop? Instead, a Don, which is more than likely a tool for the politics, is being amplified throughout the airwaves. And it is so convenient that it is being amplified right around the time where another corruption scheme is brewing. Another corruption scheme. This kind of violence, it decapitates communities. It decapitates the country. The violence are centered in localized areas, but it is amplified through the airwave. However, crime that will cripple a country, the crime of corruption, is not being amplified. It is somehow overshadowed by the execution of a criminal, of a violent criminal, which is a low-level crime. It is not even a crime. The police did their job and they brought to justice a person who was considered a menace to society. However, a much bigger crime is being overshadowed by a violent crime, and that is where violence have its place in a country like Jamaica. Violence is used to overshadow corruption. It will never stop because Jamaica is fundamentally corrupt. It was built on corruption. The country was built on the back of slavery. There is not a single honest scenario how that country came into existence. It was built on the backs of innocent, unsuspecting people who rebelled, and their rebellion became the problem, not the fact that they were being used as cattle, as machines for a corporation. The biggest problem is that they refused to be used continuously. So violence is a distraction. That is why violence in Jamaica is forever, because crime pays and violence collects. Crime pays and violence distracts. Without violence, crime will not exist, can't exist, and Jamaica is a criminal country. Just think about it. The garrisons, these are stronghold for political agendas. What are the reasons why you would really need to have a garrison in Jamaica? There should be no reason. Jamaica have 14 parishes, and almost all the parishes have at least one garrison. It's almost like these garrisons are the example of what Jamaica really is, and that is a false narrative. Jamaica have farming communities. Jamaica have country areas that people live peacefully. Some choose to worship in a church, some choose to party in the dance hall, some choose to stay home in their communities and play dominoes at a shop. No violence. These are not garrisons, but these places are not popular, and the people who live there and choose to have a simplistic lifestyle, they are not celebrated, they are not respected, they are not highlighted. You know what are the real heroes from a community that is politically affiliated and that is influenced by violence? It's not the dons, it's those people who resist the urge to be a part of that violence. Those are the real heroes. That is strength. Those are the strong men. There are people in communities that dons just ignore because they are so strong-willed. They would prefer to work and get a small amount of money and figure out how to live from that amount of money than to give in to violence. And one of the other thing, the crazier thing, is that the culture that is developed in a garrison is generational. It's generational trauma. You'll find that most of the fathers, they die before the children become adult, before the children even understand who their parents are. But there is always somebody who knew their father and respected their father for the trauma that he had and the trauma that he inflicted. And then they put that trauma onto the children and somehow immortalize that parent in that child, in those children. These traumas are being immortalized into the society. It's being amplified in the news all day, every day. The most popular people in Jamaica right now are not the ones who are doing good, are not the ones that are influencing positivity. And for those who are considered to be influential in a positive way, most time it's misguided. You'll see that the garrisons, they have a love-hate relationship with their dons. They despise him for being the violent producer that he is, but then they appreciate him for that one good thing that he did for them. They might have done a million things that is bad, but that one good thing, that one time he said hi, because being afraid of somebody is such a powerful thing, or having that ability to enforce fear on somebody. It's overwhelmingly powerful, because instead of causing that person to be afraid, if that violent producer just choose to say hi and have a conversation, immediately they change the perspective from fear to appreciation. I appreciate that this person came, said hi, and they did not cause me to live through the anxiety that I was expecting. And this is true for slavery, and most things we have to go back to slavery. You'll find that a black person might have been expecting some form of negative reaction from white people, mostly because they were trained to think about the negative interaction that is possible. And then the history proved that there was negativity that was consequential and damaging, but just getting a little bit of kindness could literally break that monotony to the point where the appreciation is so high for the smallest thing. The appreciation is so high for nothing because the expectation was so low. And that is another thing that we need to look at. The expectation from a community that is riddled by violence, and the expectation is so low from the violence producer that the smallest amount of sympathy, the smallest amount of kindness is valued so highly because the expectation was so low. And that's why violence will forever live in Jamaica, because Jamaica is a criminal country and crime pays, violence collect, rewrite the narrative.